The Film Slice crew review The Predator. Hey team, Angus Draken here, and welcome to the Film Slice podcast. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Kane Diggly Willy, Kane Dog.
Hello.
And Bro Dilly Doo, Bro Man, Richard.
Hello. And also Angly Pangly Wangly Pirate Hattie Wary Paggle Angus.
That is this guy. And this week, we are reviewing The Predator. Kane Dogs, whip out that IMDb summary for us.
When a young boy accidentally triggers the universe's most lethal hunter's return to Earth, only a ragtag crew of ex-soldiers and a disgruntled science teacher can prevent the end of the human race.
Does that sound like a B-grade film? Yes, it does!
Yes, it does.
Nearly a B-grade film.
Spoiler for my views on this film.
Yep.
All right. When did we see the movie? What do we think?
When did you see the movie? What did you think? Do you like the movie? None of the shit.
Broadman.
I went and saw it on Friday night. Now, yeah, I thought it was pretty dog. I did not like this film.
Pretty dog.
Yeah. Predator Dog?
They're in this movie.
Predator.
Yes, Predator Dog.
Dog.
Kane Dogs, when did you see the movie? What did you think?
I also saw it Friday night, and it was real shithouse. But that being said, I did have fun. Like, I went in knowing it would be crap.
Yeah,
and it was crap. But it was also kind of just fun to watch like a gore monster movie.
Yeah. This film did give me the biggest laugh of the year, to be fair.
There you go.
I reckon I could. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Guys, you're not going to believe this. I also saw it on Friday night.
Did you
What?
also think it was shithouse, but kind of had a good time?
I also, thought it was rather crap, and I was alright. It's not my kind of movie to begin with.
Yeah.
And from that, I thought it was still not a good movie.
See, so good Predator films. You've got one, kind of still holds up. Not everything in it holds up. And then you've got Predators, which is fantastic. I think Predators is great.
I don't think I liked Predators.
So, for
With
those
Adrian Brody.
Yeah, I don't think
Really?
I liked that one, no.
For those that
great.
aren't as familiar with
Yes.
the Predator
Cinematic
universe,
We've got Predator.
The
We've got
PCU.
Predator 2, starring Donald Glover. The first one starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. You should have already known that. Get on our level. You got number 3, which is Alien vs. Predator.
No longer canon.
I don't give a shit about canon. It's still part of it.
Okay.
Alien vs. Predator 2, Requiem.
Also
Requiem's
no
a
longer-
word. I don't know what it means, but it's in that film title.
Also
you go.
no longer canon.
Predators.
That's great. That's
And a
fantastic.
bunch of comic books that I've never read.
there you go. So this is, what, 6th?
Number 6.
installment.
There is a Predator versus Batman comic,
Really?
and it's great.
Does Batman die?
No.
That's not great then.
Lads, you know how every week I put up on Instagram and Twitter what film we're reviewing?
I do know that. Angus, tell me what people are saying.
I'm also aware of this.
Excellent. And normally no one replies. Well, guess how many people replied this time?
I'm gonna say 2.
2.
One. We got one. This is from Loyalty Cup.
Ooh. I don't know if we should be endorsing this.
They say, I really love this. And I'm not sure if they're talking about the film
or your
or
picture.
my little drawing.
Can I have a look at your little drawing?
Yeah. It's not the...
They're talking about the film.
Oh.
I too actually have some mentions that I dumbly handed out.
That bird as much as a shoulder cannon. Predator words.
So
Heyo.
on Facebook, I had a bit of fun and I photoshopped us 3 into some Predator imagery.
As always, Jordan does me separate from him and Angus.
Yes. Well, I couldn't find a picture with 3
Because
people.
he wants
on
to
it.
make sure that I know that Jordan and Angus are best friends.
And there's nothing you can do.
So one of the images is me as the Predator throwing Angus.
Yeah.
Quite angrily. And Mr. Luke Eustace, my brother, captioned it with, "I told you to edit that out," which I thought was pretty great. 'Cause it's me being angry at you for not editing out a lot of mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
Mr. Martin Smith
Very good.
said, "Put that student with the beard down." And Nathan Clinic said, "This is an awesome shot of Gordo freeing the pickle."
Okay, that was pretty
Good
good.
on him.
Very
and then,
Nathan takes the cake for that one.
There's one more image
The Preda cake.
of Brody being picked up by a predator by the
My
head.
severed head.
His severed head. Jaden said the Headator. I asked him to name the movie, and he also said Grubby Grubby Space Munchkin.
I prefer that.
Nathan said the
That's Brody in a
Gordo.
nutshell.
And Brody said, "I just want to make it clear that I am not a sex offender."
Yeah. Because it was literally my face
just
with the
Brody.
title The Predator. So
Very-
I
very
thought I
good.
needed to add that.
Guys, if you want to stay up to date with all of those shenanigans, head over to Facey. What are we
Yep.
called on
The
Facebook?
Film Slice Podcast.
The Film Slice Podcast.
Yep.
Type it in, you'll find us. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. But on with the show. Would you recommend it, and who would you recommend it to? Broadman.
This is one to watch not at the cinemas.
Yeah.
Just whenever you get a chance, if you just want to watch nothing, or if you're hanging out with some mates, this is perfect because it's not too deep of a story, and you can kind of chuck it on and just relax and laugh at Keegan-Michael Key's jokes as he tries to make fun of him and his fellow soldiers.
Cane Dogs.
Would I recommend it? So
Sorry, that wasn't
Cane
very, I
Dogs.
wasn't very, I
that
wasn't
was-
very confident in my...
Cane-
Cane Dogs.
There we go.
yes, okay. So I'm gonna put this in the same sort of layout as the Terminator films. And here's what
Pretty
I mean by that. Okay, 1, great. 2, one of my favorite movies of all time. 3, really bad. 4, Salvation, pretty good. Genesis. If I'm watching all 4, I'm gonna watch 5. So I'm gonna put
I
this.
thought you were just... Sorry, I thought you, for a second, you were just listing things about the Terminator movies in general.
no, these
Like,
are all-
some of my favorite. Also pretty shit. I was like,
No.
how does that work? Yeah,
No.
sorry.
So you've got Predator 1, which is great. Predator 2, which is watchable, but it certainly doesn't hold up. I don't know if anyone's watched that recently, but it does not hold up. Then you've got Predators, which is pretty great. Now, if I've watched those 3, I'll probably also watch this. So I guess if you like the previous ones, this has enough elements of it to still be a Predator film, but by itself, it's not.
I think it's better to watch them in a reverse order so you finish with the
So they
best
get
one.
better as
Yeah,
you go.
get better. They're progressively better.
The other odd thing about this is with each Predator movie, they add information about the race of the predators, which in large then changes the tone of the other films.
Yeah.
They can't help themselves and they decide to ruin the films every time.
It's a lot like what they did with the Alien and then they
Yeah.
did Covenant.
Aliens
and then
aren't aliens anymore,
Prometheus
they're
and all
man-made.
that. Yeah, so look, would I recommend this? I'd recommend this if you just want a dumb monster film, or if you just really feel like watching all of the Predator films, I guess this one as well.
I would only recommend it to people that have watched any other Predator films. I think coming into this cold, you're not gonna have any idea.
Yeah.
Nor
That's a good point. I don't know if this has any sense to it.
there's nothing but nostalgia here. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very much a sequel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, and it relies on that heavily. I didn't even think about that.
It just kind of jumps in, and so I haven't watched all of the Predator films. I've only seen glimpses of Predator films, and I didn't really have a lot of idea what was going on, and it didn't really do a good job of explaining it. And I think if you're like, this movie is to set up more of a franchise. Like, let's be honest.
And without spoiling anything,
Unfortunately, yeah.
it will be a very interesting franchise in the direction it looks like it's heading.
yeah, but like,
It'll
the
be
problem
very
with that
weird.
is if you want to start up a franchise,
You need to-
you
yeah.
don't
Start with a sequel.
start with a sequel. Yeah.
What's weird is not only is this a sequel,
Or you make it so, what's the opposite of inclusive? So,
Exclusive?
Yeah, you make it so exclusive that no one understands it besides the people that have watched.
What's
the earlier
weird is not
Predators.
only is this a sequel, but it's like a sequel to Predator 1 and Predator 2. And those are films that came out 3 decades ago.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird to just be like, you know what? We'll do a sequel. At the moment,
Because
just make
normally it's
a new
remakes,
one.
isn't
Yeah.
it? Normally it's
Well,
like,
here's the
it's
thing.
the same idea, but at least it's remade. Whereas
Like
this is
5 years ago, the whole thing was reboots. Like 10 to 5 years ago, it was reboot everything. Now it's just sort of, just like
a new telling of the story.
We'll say that there's stuff that isn't canon, and then we'll just
Yeah, we're gonna pick and choose.
We'll pick and choose the
Yeah.
stuff that we want and don't want, and I'm okay with that because we're more likely to get a better film if they do that. But this pick and chose all of the wrong things.
Before we jump into spoilers, I'll leave the audience with this. I'll pose you the question. I'll give you the answer in the spoilers.
Uh-huh.
The voice actor who
Yes.
voiced Optimus Prime in the original 80s cartoon
Okay.
of Transformers.
The good Optimus
OG
Prime.
Optimus, yeah.
Yeah.
He also did the voice for the Predator, as in the thing.
OG Predator.
True or false? Give me
Are they
answers now.
one in the same? I'm gonna say that's really obscure, so yes.
I'm also going to say that's oddly specific, and also yes.
You'll find out in the spoilers. Oh, what a cool sound effect, Angus.
We are now in the spoiler section. Thanks
Spoilerinos.
for continuing to listen.
Hope you enjoyed the song.
If you are.
Now we've got to write a song, Brody. Oh no.
And welcome back after that ad break. Broadman.
Okay.
The question was Optimus Prime
Optimus Prime and Predator same person?
One in the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing
Yeah.
if you were just like, no, I pulled that out.
So
It was
the
completely
story,
irrelevant.
so the story goes, he's they bring him in to like try to make a voice for the monster in the monster film, and he went through a bunch of things and they didn't really know if it was any good, and he started doing that sound that he can make, and I've never met anyone else that can make it the same as him. I can make the sound using my tongue and my teeth, but he does it differently.
Do it.
He does it differently. He does it in like the back of his throat. Something.
Yeah, right.
And he started doing that sound, and the director, he was up in the booth and he couldn't hear what he was doing. So he was like, "What are you doing? I can't hear it." And so he put on the headphones, and because he was getting a bit testy because he couldn't hear what the voice was like. Can you do it louder? Can you do it louder? And stuff. And he's like, "Oh, what's going on? This is not good." So he goes into the booth and he like puts on the headphones and everything, and he does the sound into a mic, and he goes, "Oh, that's amazing. We have to use that. That's perfect." And then he was like really, really like happy and proud that
It would have been
they got
very
the sound.
different if, like, Arnold's crew gets killed and, like, he faces up against the Predator and the Predator just goes, "Predators, roll out!"
Predators roll out.
That would have been great.
Does anyone have a cinema dick that could include someone invisible at the back of the film? Or laser sights?
No, I had a pretty good cinema.
Yeah, no dicks
Not
in
a
my
problem.
cinema.
No dicks?
Yeah.
I had a random giggle guy again.
Right.
It was like, just the film was starting, he was like, I don't know what that is.
I'm not
he
gonna lie.
He only did it at the beginning of the film.
When I heard the Predator theme, because that theme hasn't been in since the first movie, that dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, I was like, "Ah." Yeah, it was
It's
great.
a great theme.
Yeah, such a good theme.
So I guess we'll start off with our positives of the film.
Yeah.
Cane Dogs. Go for it.
Positives of the film. I'm gonna say Boyd Holbrook, who is the main character in this. Not the smartest character. Really quite dumb for a lot of this film. But
Yeah.
I just
he
shook my
was-
head then, by the way. I just realized we're doing a podcast.
We're doing an audio-based thing, and you shook your head, yes. But I thought he was great. I thought he was likable. I thought he was charismatic. Some of the crew, not all of, but some of like the army veterans that were in the bus when you meet them, I thought they were all
Keegan-Michael Key.
Sure, I thought Thomas Jane, who was the Punisher in 2004, the guy with Tourette's in this movie, he was pretty likable. Not sure I liked the biologist.
Olivia
scientist.
Munn.
Yeah, I'm not sure I bought her
I only
character.
don't like her because she was a biology teacher. If
Yeah.
she was an ex-military
Yeah. 'Cause,
like
she's picked up an
scientist,
assault
then it would have been
rifle
like,
and-
yeah, fine. Because yeah, she picks up a rifle, runs head first into action and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Or if she like came from like a military household or something like that. Just give us something other than she's a teacher.
Give us some backstory.
Other positives was
Why wasn't she already working for him, by the way? Why
Yeah.
why was she a teacher?
Yeah,
like they've already got
there's
this entire thing full of scientists, and they bring her in,
And the only one that knows anything
is someone
the
that
teacher.
Yeah, it was like, oh, we need to bring her in because she's an expert on this. Why isn't she already working for you like the rest of the scientists?
Oh, there's so much. Look, buddy, we're in positives. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah, good point.
But another positive is it was good to see some fan service. Like a lot of this was fan service. Anyway, Brody, your positive.
Most positive.
My most positive part in this film.
No, you're just the most positive.
You're just the most
Yeah.
positive out of
Just
the
yeah.
three of us, which
Yeah.
doesn't scream volume about
shut up.
our positivity.
Fuck off.
Say no, Brody. Say no to negativity.
No negativity.
Man, what was your favorite thing in the film?
My favorite part of this film is a part where the Predator breaks out of a base that they're holding it in. He jumps into the back of a truck. He rips apart all the people in the back of the truck, and the driver in the truck's like, is everything okay going on there?
Yeah.
And the Predator picks up a severed arm and he sticks it through the window into the front, and the arm's just giving the thumbs up.
See, that's everything that's
And he
wrong with
pulls it
this.
back in.
That's
I love
everything
that
that's
I laughed so hard. It was the biggest laugh any
Yeah.
film has given me the
That's
entire year.
everything that's wrong with this film, though.
The entire cinema laughed. It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so funny
love
because
that.
it was so stupid. It was
it
so
was-
stupid, so funny. It was amazing.
And there's a part where the Predator picks up an assault rifle, like just the human assault rifle, and just starts shooting people.
yeah, just
in
sprays
a...
at people. Yeah,
So
no,
dumb.
that was fun to me.
Also,
Yeah.
can I say the Predator was supposedly there to help humanity? He wakes up and immediately just starts murdering everyone he sees.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm on the Predator's side in that. The Predator comes to Earth and they like belt it to a table. Yeah, of course it's gonna kill
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, but you expect
they're gonna kill
if
everyone.
I'm going to an alien race and my race is known generally for being quite terrible, and I wake and they like knock me out and I wake up on a bed, I'm not gonna wake up and be like, here's how I could change their mind: kill everyone and leave.
Predator doesn't give a shit.
Well, he's there.
Predator's got on its arm that
Not
it's
this
got
Predator.
everything that it needs, and it's like, and some random human stolen it from it. I'm
This
totally
Pred-
on the Predator's
This
side. of
Predator was
thing.
here to help humanity.
Pro
though.
killing.
This Predator. This
Okay.
Predator was here to help humanity, and it still just
We're in the
killed
positive,
everybody.
Jordan.
yeah. We're in the positive.
That
My,
thumbs up thing pissed me off so much.
I thought it was
I thought it was
hilarious.
fantastic. Yeah, I
Other than
loved it.
that, the scene where the Predator is breaking out, I absolutely loved. It was so Predator, like ripping people apart.
Yeah, that was great.
And it was the
scary.
actual Predator, like it was a person in a suit, and it looked fucking amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best looking Predators I think we've ever seen.
The second Predator, though, was all CGI,
CGI, yep.
and it looked
Still in the
really bad.
positives. We'll get there.
One of my general positives about this film was a lot of it wasn't CGI, which was cool. You could really see that in like the first
half
like
of the film.
scene of the first shot of the film where the Predator kind of gets up. You kind of see him. I think he like hits a joystick or presses a button or something, and it's like obviously rubber gloves,
Weird rubber
and, like,
gloves, and he can barely do
awkward
anything. But it's
hair-
great.
But it's like, yeah, that's real. That's kind of like almost a throwback kind of thing. But my main positive of this film was the relationship between Keegan-Michael Key and Thomas Jane. I just really liked that kind of a relationship, and I think it was so awesome when the Predator was in the jungle at the end, and like Thomas Jane was like stuck, like got skewered on the top of the tree, and what's his name?
Keegan-Michael Key.
Keegan-Michael Key.
just Key.
He's like he got like disemboweled on the
Sliced,
floor,
yeah.
and they just looked at each other and they just like nodded to each other and just shot each other.
It would have been-
I was like, oh,
The only thing that would have made that scene
really
better
powerful.
is if one of them missed. And it would have been so perfect to their characters. And like Keegan's like they're both really funny characters through the entire
Yeah,
film.
that's true.
Like
Yeah.
throwing a lot of jokes. And if one of them missed, it would have been a perfect moment to have one of them like badmouth the other one.
or if
So
like, or if
perfect.
one of them, like as they raise the gun up, accidentally shot the other one like in the arm first, or something like
They
accidentally.
decide to shoot each other instead of like slowly dying over the
Slowly
next
dying.
5
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
And they're looking at each other. They both aim their guns up and pull the trigger at the exact same time.
Positive in that scene.
I thought that was really good.
just while you're on that scene,
I did really like that.
the guy that you sort of the bad military guy that you generally hate has the Predator shoulder cannon. And the Predator shoulder cannon, it's been established in other films that will shoot where you're looking, and he looks directly like to his right shoulder on the opposite shoulder of the cannon, and then the cannon shoots him in the back of the head, and that was fantastic.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
even notice that.
That's what that was. is-
I saw the film with someone, they also didn't notice that. Because I reckon that was I hated that because of how bad it was to the story.
Yeah.
It was such a nothing throwaway
Such a
moment.
nothing
It's like,
kill.
this is a bad character that's been evil through the entire film. He even was
I
like
thought
threatening
all
to
the
kill
kills-
the guy's kid and stuff.
I thought all the kills towards the end of this were really nothing kills.
it was
though.
such a waste of a moment. He didn't even get killed by the Predator. He got killed because he looked to the left and he shot himself in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It
I
was-
guess
it was
someone
it
from
was such a disappointing end.
which kind of comes back to my point of if you don't know that, like I didn't know that that's what happened with the cannon. They didn't explain it. It was
Well,
just like
they didn't really explain that to me either because I've
Yeah.
always known the cannons, they have to have that laser targeting system for the cannons to fire. That's how it's worked in every film that I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
Except
Yeah.
Requiem,
which is no longer
which is
canon.
no longer canon. But that's what I'm saying. Like they still,
Why would you bring it up? John?
they still kept weird things from films that they're not
Yeah,
considered
yeah.
anymore.
I think we're ready to get into the negatives.
I don't know. I
yeah.
guess I think there's a lot more good things we can say about
I
this.
think we're ready. I'm going to go first because I know the least about the
Fair enough,
Predator
that's
films.
fair.
So I'm just going to go on a general broad idea of that this wasn't really a film. It was just the start of a franchise.
It was a
We-
vomit onto a page.
We didn't.
It was like the movie The Mummy. I don't know if either of you guys saw that, where that tried to be a movie, but 90% of it was exposition meant for another movie.
meant for the franchise. Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been
like, we didn't-
rewatching the Mummy films and I'm bloody enjoying them.
We didn't
Yeah, I
really.
watched them a couple of days. They're great. Brendan Fraser, bloody,
I know, I love
bloody
Brendan
great.
Fraser.
Bring it back.
It's good. It's
Bloody
good.
great.
Bring it. Make it into a Predator.
Bring
film.
Hashtag
back.
bring
Make
Brendan
him
back.
bigger.
Bring Brendan back.
Make him bigger though. Just make everything bigger.
Brendan like Beckham.
Bring a bigger Brendan back.
Brendan like Beckham. You're an idiot.
Brendan. Oh, jeez.
But bigger.
Go ahead, Angus. Go.
Yeah. So anyway, this movie it didn't really have a story, and I didn't really like any of the characters. Really, the kid was. I didn't like.
I didn't find him
like that
likable at
idea
all.
at all.
I don't
They're
like it
almost
because
never
it's,
likable in films.
it's a
but-
story I've heard a million times. It's like, oh, it's a genius kid. He's going to save the day.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
such
exactly.
It's like it's such an annoying thing to me.
It honestly would have been better if it wasn't a genius kid and it was just a kid with like with autism.
No, or it's just a
something.
genius person.
Or just a kid with autism, but wasn't also a genius.
Yeah,
Just
I think it was just a bit too pandering towards
Yeah.
the younger generation. Being
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh, yeah.
And the annoying part for me was just that it was in a lot of horror films I don't see a great place for a kid to be in. And I know this wasn't a horror film, this is definitely an action film. But it was just really off for me. He was just kind of just thrown in there.
Yeah.
And they were just like, well, how do they do this? And it's like, oh, there's a genius kid.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
and he understands alien languages.
How
of
do they
course.
translate that?
Also,
yeah,
the
no.
It was
weird-
just like
the
it was
weird-
just no place to be in this film.
the weird thing that we got subtitles every time there was alien language or writing, we got it in a weird subtitle.
It would like
It's really out of place in this movie.
yeah.
It just looked really
well. They're
out
trying
of
to make
place.
the predators characters, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah,
they
no.
should always be the unseen, unheard
Exactly.
villain,
Unrelatable.
like a terror which is putting pressure on the characters.
And they should seem
They could have still had
unstoppable.
good people and villains.
Yeah.
and then the predator
Yeah.
should have been another pressure,
Exactly, yeah.
a third party that you don't communicate with.
Definitely. So that kind of all summarized in the very last scene of the film, which the kid's like, oh, I guess you guys would call it the Predator Killer or whatever, and it's just a predator suit.
An Iron Man suit.
That's an Iron Man suit.
If they make another film, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Yeah.
I want this film to do so terribly.
Yeah.
So they have no choice, but in like another 10 years to like, let's make another film. Let's really not
Yeah.
screw it up.
At the end of the film where they said that the Predator brought back a weapon to help humanity and it was a container. The last film before this was Predators and the main character is Adrian Brody and he kills 3 predators or something like that. And then we never actually find out whether he gets home. We know that he makes it to the spaceship with the classic Predator, but we don't know if he goes home. And I was hoping that this would open and it'd be Adrian Brody and he'd be in like cryo
That'd be
sleep
cool.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I would have been like, I'm so psyched for the next film to have
Yeah,
Adrian
true.
Brody having had the experience of being in a predator world fighting predators, and they just kept him in cryo sleep, and then they sent him back to Earth as like a predator weapon. I would have been like, this is fucking great.
that would have been
See,
clever.
I
yeah.
know-
And instead I got a fucking Predator Iron Man suit.
I know they couldn't do it, but what I would have loved, and what I was like on my edge of my seat was like, if they do this, they've saved this film for it to have been Ripley from Aliens come
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that would've been great.
Sigourney
Yeah,
Weaver. They bring
true.
her out, and it's like another Alien vs Predator. Even though the second one was real dog.
Real
but-
dog. The first one also
That would've been
really
awesome.
go back and watch the first one. It really doesn't hold up.
Hey, we used to love that when we were younger.
Yeah. Doesn't hold up now.
Okay.
Really doesn't.
Dumb.
And something that annoyed me to my core is that the very first character you see is a predator. And you see him in full view. You see his entire person. He's not invisible or anything. You see him on a ship, flying a ship.
Can I elaborate slightly more on this? Because I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
Sure thing.
So the first ever Predator movie, the first 40 minutes, you don't see a predator. And in the trailers, they did show the predator. Everybody thought that was really
I'm
dumb.
fine with showing stuff in trailers.
Yep.
Trailers are completely different.
But
nest
what
egg.
they also did in the Predator movie
Nest egg. What?
is because if you'd watched the first Predator movie but skipped the first minute and a half and you hadn't seen the trailer, then you think it's an action film and then there's a Predator in it, which is great. But the first minute, 60-something seconds of the first Predator movie opens with a spaceship. And every single person that likes a Predator movie knows that that film should start at a minute 60. The film should not have that opening shot, and at 100%
Is
should
a minute 62 minutes?
Oh, it might be.
Do you mean 160 seconds?
No, I think it might be a minute 30.
Okay.
It's a minute something. The point is every
minute 60.
Fuck off. The point
Bloody
is
amazing.
everybody knows that the film, like everybody who's showing the Predator film to a friend who hasn't heard of it,
Starts it.
they wait for their friend to be out of the
yeah.
room, they skip that first bit, then press pause, and then bring their friend back in the room, and then get them to watch it. And
Yeah.
everyone knows
Oh,
the
man.
that opening shot of the spaceship has always been a mistake. And so when this film opened with a spaceship, I'm like, alright, right off the bat, I know they've not
Mistake.
learned anything.
Not only
ever.
that, but they show the Predator in full
Yeah.
view.
Yeah.
It's like such a thing where it's happening more and more these days. Where it's like well, people just show the alien at like 20 minutes into the film and just
Yeah.
show the Predator, the very first thing you see. It's racking my brain because when you go, and I know that you're not a huge fan of horror films, Angus, but there are so many people making horror films these days, and they're doing really well, and people are loving them so much, and they could get these people to come in and make these films, and they could make them really freaky and make them really memorable.
Yeah.
And films that people will watch
And that's-
next year and the year after,
It's the
and
thing
in
of-
5 years and in 10 years, and they're choosing not to, and it's just racking my brain, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm sitting there and I'm rocking back and forth in bed, crying myself to sleep, going, why aren't they making these into good films?
What's great is because that whole concept is what you don't know and what you don't see is scarier.
Yeah.
Especially if you,
exactly.
as an audience member, know it's a Predator. It's fun watching characters figure out what's happening.
Cane dogs. Most negative.
Okay, so my most negative stems from the reason I love the characters, the Predators in films, which is that the Predators are meant to be a warrior race, and they don't really have anything in common with humanity. And the sort of the point of the first Predator movie is that no matter what race you are, or where you're from, or what planet you're from, if you're warriors, there's an unspoken warrior code. And that's what's great about the Predator movie. In the first movie, like, it's established that the Predators, they have their own agenda, they have their own sports, they have their own everything. They don't care about humanity, but if the person they're fighting puts down their weapons, the Predator will put down their weapons. If the Predator has a weapon and they're onslaughting a bunch of people and someone doesn't have a weapon, they won't hurt that person. Like, the Predators have a code, but that's as deep as you get in terms of
And
understanding
if whatever
their
they're
character.
hunting ends up killing them, then there is a respect there, which is in Predator
exactly.
2.
And the other thing is that they collect trophies. They don't fucking collect DNA so they can upgrade themselves and shit like that.
Hybridization.
That was a weird thing.
That was the most remake thing I could ever think of.
Yeah.
Where it was like so like stereotypically something that would be in a remake or a reboot.
'Cause I thought-
where it's like,
It's very
oh no,
2010.
they're not just aliens. No, they're what?
I thought in that scene, I
Hybridization.
thought they were gonna do the alien thing where it's like, oh, it has human DNA in it. I'm like, don't fucking tell me it's humans
man-made
from the
or some
future
shit. Yeah,
or
that's
some
what I
shit.
thought.
Like, yeah.
But anyway, that's why I love
We
the
don't
Predator.
need to know any of
Why I
that.
love the Predators is you don't know anything about them. The reason people love them is because they're an alien race, they're a warrior race, and they have a code. It's like the 300s,
yeah.
Spartans minus their ability to talk.
With dreadlocks.
With dreadlocks. Like, it's...
Which
that's-
is like,
Oh,
it's pretty
dreadlocks
good.
is always a
But
plus one in my
that-
book.
But outside of that, they
Except for
still
when they're
need
on
to be an
dogs.
unknown, intimidating force. Like, the only thing that is level ground is respect. Everything else is about them hunting you and you're fucked. Right? In this movie, they gave so much weird personality kinks to the Predators, like the thumbs up thing. There's actually a bit where the bigger Predator kills. I think it might be just where the bigger predator kills the smaller predator, and as it walks away, it spits on the body.
Spits on the ground. Oh,
That was such a
hated it.
weird thing. Or the part where the predator's like in the spaceship and he's like, I'm going to give you this much time to run away. No, you don't communicate. That's not what predators do. It's not meant to be any of that. I don't want to know about like, oh, there's police officer predators and this is a convict predator. And no, they come down to Earth, they hunt you and they leave. If you win, you earn respect from them. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Should we do a quick little predictions of what the next Predator film will be? Because inevitably there will be one.
I don't think there will, but if there is, this is what I want. And I mean this as sarcastically as possible.
I think there will be one because they've just spent all of this money setting it up.
Here's what I want. Here's what I want. And I mean this as sarcastically as possible. Channing Tatum is the lead.
Okay.
Metal Predator suit, Iron Man armor type thing. Just 30 predators come down, and it's just him in a forest.
And the human becomes the predator.
And the human, and it's just him.
It needs to have the line, we're going to take the fight to them.
Yeah.
And they go to space. And they fight the predators on the Predator home.
I want a Predator Pacific Rim crossover.
Predator Rim.
You've made
Predator's Rim.
you've made a bad movie title much worse.
Actually, that's one thing I did want to bring up. How to beat the Predator. Just go to the desert when there's no trees or anywhere to hide.
But then you know how...
I mean, how are you going to hide from them when they have just a laser cannon? And they just stand really far away and just shoot you with a laser cannon.
Okay.
And they also have those...
and that's why I'm not a tactician.
Heat mirages, which looks the same as the Predator suits when they're in use.
True.
So the desert's actually a worse place.
Okay, good to know.
I've got this set.
Okay.
So, two guys. They're Marines. They've just come back from another. They're like mercenaries or something. They've just come back from a job.
Are they Marines or mercenaries?
They're mercenaries.
Okay.
They're throwing beers to each other. They're reloading guns. They're having a laugh. One's joking about another one's girlfriend.
One
or some
accidentally
shit.
threw a gun instead of a beer and then lost his foot.
Spaceship lands. Right. Door opens with the spaceship. They both walk towards it. Dead predator. Right.
Dead Predator.
Dead predator.
As in, like,
dead.
door opens, the Predator's standing there and
No.
flops down.
No. Like, he's lying down in the ship, door opens, covered in blood, like coughing up blood. Clearly,
Yeah.
not worth. Anyway,
I'm doing the sound effects, by the way.
they both look to each other, look back at the Predator. By the way, I've cast this. It's Dwayne Johnson and Jason
Tim
Statham.
Allen.
No. It's, I was gonna go with Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham, but now it's Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. Look to each other. They both say at the same time, "Ugly motherfucker," because fan service. Then they both pull the body out and go, "What should we do?" And they just go, "Take the fight to them." They both squeeze into this weird. They both baby oil up. Then they squeeze into the spaceship. They just know where to fly the spaceship. They go,
How small is this spaceship?
They both.
They have
Well,
to
it can fit a
squeeze?
predator, so it must be a small predator.
They both fly. They just know how to get to the other predator planet. That's not a question viewers would ask.
It's on the map.
Yeah.
It's in the yellow pages behind the driver's seat.
The spaceship has predator and for some reason English language underneath it. They also just know how to fly it. They get to the predator world. There's just predators there. No one asks questions.
Predel?
Luckily, they both also in the ship find just Iron Man Predator suits, and they both just put them on.
Oh, thank God.
And one of them, they
I'm glad we found these.
they do a bit of a fist bump, and then they just chain down just a bunch of predators.
And then they just
Slaughter
lawn.
Yeah. They just
Thank you for listening to the Film Slice podcast. You can hit us up on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. Film Slice Pod on pretty much everything. And if you're showing this to a friend, make sure you start this podcast at 1 minute 60.